Welcome once again, children, to our geography class of 11th Arts. The topic today again is distribution of oceans and continents. This is the second half of the chapter. Now, today's topic will be distribution of earthquakes and volcanoes. As you can see in the map, this map shows us the distribution of earthquakes and volcanoes. Now you are seeing a dotted line here in the Atlantic Ocean. It is running parallel to the coastline. This line further extends to the Indian Ocean. Now this is the Indian Ocean. It is going here, coming here, Indian Ocean, and then it is dividing into two parts. One branch is going to East Africa. This is the branch which is coming to East Africa, and the other branch, it is going up and crossing from Myanmar to New Guinea. Okay, so you will notice this line of dots. It is coinciding with the mid-oceanic ridges. The shaded belt, it is showing area of concentration which coincides with the Alpine Himalayan system. It is coinciding from here, it is coming to the Alpine Himalayan system. Okay, and the rim of the Pacific Ocean. In general, the foci, the center of the earthquake in the areas of mid-oceanic regions, are at shallow depth, whereas along the Alpine Himalayan belt as well as the rim of the Pacific, the earthquakes are deeply seated ones. So, the map of volcano also shows a similar pattern as is the one of earthquakes. The rim of the Pacific Ocean belt, this area, it is also called the rim of fire due to existence of active volcanoes in this area. So you must have understood the distribution of earthquakes in the world map. Next is concept of seafloor spreading. The post-drift studies, they provided lot of information which were not available at the time when Alfred Wegener gave his continental drift theory. Now, especially the mapping of the ocean floor and the study of records of the Earth's magnetic field, it gave many clues to geographers that the formation of the oceanic crust was not very old. The first and foremost was, it was realized that these mid-oceanic ridges, ये जो mid-oceanic ridges जो form हुई हैं, they were mainly because of volcanic eruptions, and because of these eruptions, huge amount of lava was forced from inside the earth, and it came out and it cooled down and it was huge amount of that lava it deposited on the surface of the oceans. Second was, these rocks which were formed on both sides of these ridges, they were very similar in terms of period of formation. Their chemical composition, magnetic properties, they were all similar, and these rocks were very young. तो सेकंड क्या था कि जो ओशन रिजेस के साइड में जो रॉक्स थी वो बिल्कुल सिमिलर थी कंपोजिशन में, एंड दे वर वेरी रिसेंटली फॉर्म्ड. थर्ड वाज कि दीज रॉक्स वर यंगर देन द कॉन्टिनेंटल रॉक्स. तीसरा जो पता चला कि ये रॉक्स बहुत यंग है, दे आर नॉट मोर देन 200 मिलियन ईयर्स ओल्ड. सो दिस प्रूव्स दैट चेंजेस आर गोइंग ऑन, बिकॉज इफ दे हैव बीन ओल्डर तो फिर वो इतना यंग क्यों है वहाँ पे. फोर्थ इज the sediments of the oceanic floor, they are unexpectedly thin. जो sediment deposition है वो बहुत thin है. अगर ये continents की तरह ही बहुत old होते तो यहाँ पे जो sediment deposition होता है वो बहुत thick हो जाता अब तक इतने सालों में. But nowhere the sediment column is found to be older than 200 million years old. Fifth is, the deep trenches have deep-seated earthquake occurrences, while in the mid-oceanic ridge areas, the quake foci have shallow depths. Okay, so these are the 5 clues which were given after mapping the oceanic floor. So these facts and a detailed analysis of the magnetic properties of the rocks on either side of the mid-oceanic ridge, it led Hess in 1961 to give his hypothesis known as sea floor spreading. He said that eruptions are continuously taking place in the oceanic ridge, and because of these eruptions, lava is oozing out and it is being deposited on the side of the crest. And these rocks, they are not very old, they are young, and that gives us a clue that this oceanic floor is not very old. Our next topic, which is very important, is plate tectonics. After the coming of the theory of sea floor spreading, the interest in the problem of distribution of oceans and continents was revived. जब हमारे पास सी फ्लोर स्प्रेडिंग की थ्योरी आई तो उसके बाद जियोलॉजिस्ट और साइंटिस्ट को बहुत ज़्यादा क्यूरियोसिटी हो गई कि ये ओशंस और कॉन्टिनेंट्स आखिर कैसे फॉर्म हुए. So in 1967, Mackenzie, Parker and Morgan, इन तीनों ने क्या किया? They gave up the theory of plate tectonics. अब tectonics क्या होते हैं? Tectonic plate, it is a massive irregularly shaped slab of solid rock. एक बहुत बड़ा irregularly shaped solid rock का पीस जो कॉन्टिनेंट और ओशनिक लिथोस्फीयर का बना होता है, और ये प्लेट्स हॉरिजॉन्टली मूव करते हैं एस्थेनोस्फीयर पे, है ना, एज रिजिड यूनिट्स. दे मूव ऑन द एस्थेनोस्फीयर एंड दे आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल, दीज प्लेट्स, दे आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द मूवमेंट ऑफ ओशंस एंड कॉन्टिनेंट्स. द लिथोस्फीयर, इट इंक्लूड्स द क्रस्ट एंड टॉप मेंटल. जो लिथोस्फीयर है उसमें क्रस्ट और टॉप मेंटल, आउटर मेंटल का पोर्शन आता है, जिसकी थिकनेस वेरी करती है 5 से 100 किलोमीटर्स तक इन ओशनिक पार्ट्स एंड अप टू 200 किलोमीटर्स इन द कॉन्टिनेंटल एरियाज. नाउ व्हाट इज अ प्लेट? प्लेट को हम कैसे डिफाइन कर सकते हैं? तो अ प्लेट में बी रेफर्ड टू द कॉन्टिनेंटल प्लेट और ओशनिक प्लेट, depending on which of the two occupy a larger portion of the plate. तो चाहे वो continental plate हो या oceanic, वो it is termed as a plate. And tectonic because it is massive rock piece which is composed of oceanic or continental lithosphere. Now this theory of plate tectonics, it proposed that the Earth's lithosphere is divided into 7 major plates and some minor plates, or young fold mountain ridges, trenches or faults surround these major plates. ऐसा माना गया है कि हमारे पूरे वर्ल्ड में 7 मेजर टेक्टोनिक प्लेट्स हैं और कुछ माइनर टेक्टोनिक प्लेट्स हैं, और इनके ऊपर इन प्लेट्स के चारों ओर यंग फोल्ड माउंटेन्स हैं, रिजेस हैं, ट्रेंचेस हैं और फॉल्ट्स हैं. तो जो मेजर प्लेट्स हैं वो मैं अब आप लोग को बताती हूँ. द मेजर प्लेट्स, एज यू कैन सी इन द मैप, Antarctica, the first major plate is Antarctica and the surrounding ocean plate. It's here. The second is North American plate. North American plate is here. This you can see. The third is South American plate. It's here as you can see. Fourth is the Pacific plate. Fifth is India, Australia, New Zealand plate. The sixth is African with Eastern Atlantic floor plate. And the seventh is Eurasia and the adjacent oceanic plate. So these are the 7 major plates. Then there are some important minor plates. First is the Cocos plate. Cocos plate, you can see it is here. Second is Nazca Plate. It is between South America and Pacific Plate. The third is the Arabian Plate. It is somewhere over here. The fourth is Philippine Plate. It is between the Asiatic and Pacific Plate. The Philippine Plate is somewhere here. This is the Philippine Plate. The fifth is Caroline Plate. The Caroline Plate is between the Philippine and the Indian plate. Here it is. And last is Fuji Plate. It is in the northeast Australian part. So these are some of the major and minor plates. So you see children, these are the major and minor plates in the whole of the world. Alfred Wegener, he proposed that all the continents were a single landform, Pangaea. And this continent broke up into pieces and the continents drifted apart, and in this way the continents, the land masses were formed. But actually now the geographers are of a different view. They believe that these plates, these major and minor plates, have been constantly moving over the globe throughout the history of the earth. It is not the continent that moves as believed by Wegener. Continents are just a part of the plate, and what moves is actually the plate. The plate moves, and with this plate the continents also drifted and they were finally formed. All the plates have been continuously moving and in the geological past and will continue to move in the future as well. Wegener had thought of all the continents to have initially existed as a supercontinent in the form of Pangaea. But later discoveries revealed that the continental masses resting on the plates have been wandering all through the geological period, and Pangaea was a result of converging of different continental masses that were parts of one or the other plates. Now we shall study the type of plate boundaries. Now, based on the relative motion of the plates, three kinds of plate boundaries have been recognized. The first is divergent boundaries, second is convergent boundaries, and third is transform boundaries. Let us take the first, divergent boundaries. These are the boundaries along which plates separate, and this process of separation molten material upwells. इस प्रोसेस में क्या होता है कि जो प्लेट बाउंड्रीज हैं वो एक दूसरे से सेपरेट होती है, और इस सेपरेशन के प्रोसेस में क्या होता है, जो मोल्टन मटेरियल है वो बाहर निकलता है. तो इट इज़ कॉमनली ऑब्जर्व्ड अलोंग लीनियर ओशन रिजेस वेयर न्यू लिथोस्फीयर इज क्रिएटेड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ न्यू ओशन फ्लोर्स. जहाँ न्यू ओशन फ्लोर्स है ये ज़्यादातर वहाँ पे डाइवर्जेंट बाउंड्रीज होती हैं, और यहाँ पे एक्टिव वल्कानिज्म और शैलो फोकस अर्थक्वेक्स यहाँ पे देखे जा सकते हैं. सेकेंड इज जोन्स ऑफ कन्वर्जेंस. दीज आर द बाउंड्रीज along which the edge of one plate overrides the other. Edge of one plate overrides the other. ये एक प्लेट है, इसके ऊपर सेकेंड वाली प्लेट चली गई. The overridden plate slips down into the mantle and is absorbed. This process is also known as subduction. Besides volcanism and shallow to deep focus earthquakes, these boundaries also produce deep trenches, basins, and folded mountain chains. Third is fracture zones. There is neither creation nor destruction along the transform faults. The lithospheric plates slide past each other. ट्रांसफॉर्म बाउंड्रीज में सिर्फ सिंपली वो प्लेट्स एक दूसरे से स्लाइड करती है. यहाँ कोई वोल्केनिक एक्टिविटी भी नहीं होती है और यहाँ कोई डिस्ट्रक्शन भी नहीं होता है इनमें. बट कन्वर्जेंट बाउंड्रीज और डाइवर्जेंट बाउंड्रीज में अर्थक्वेक्स और वोल्केनिक एक्टिविटीज़ के चांसेस रहते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज what are the causes of the movement of the plates. Now there are 5 main causes. First is thermal convection. Now Arthur Holmes in 1928 he proposed that subcrustal earth crust के नीचे जो convection currents होते हैं they invoke the mechanism of thermal convection. It acts as a driving force for the movement of these plates. क्रस्ट के नीचे जो कन्वेक्शन करंट्स होते हैं वो they invoke the mechanism of thermal convections and this becomes the driving force जिससे ये plates move करती है. Second है movement of currents. I explained you previously that hot currents rise, then cool as they reach the surface. At the same time cooler currents sink. जब हॉट करंट्स राइज होते हैं तो कूल करंट्स उनकी जगह लेने को जाते हैं. दिस कन्वेक्शनल मूवमेंट इट मूव्स द क्रस्टल प्लेट्स. थर्ड इज फ्लोटिंग ऑफ द. नाउ ओइंग टू करंट मूवमेंट्स द रिजिड प्लेट्स ऑफ द लिथोस्फीयर which float on the mobile asthenosphere. Asthenosphere is mobile because it is magma. They are in constant motion. This again causes the movement of the plates. Fourth is hotspots of volcanic activity. Small centers of past volcanic activity are often located far from any active plate boundary. It suggests the effect of convection currents on the lithosphere. These centers of volcanic activity are called hotspots. Fifth is volcanoes. W. Jason Morgan, he proposed the hypothesis of hotspot in 1971. According to him, the source of magma in the mantle, it remains fixed in position, while the lithospheric plate above it moves steadily. In this way, volcanoes are formed over a hot spot, but then move away from the magma source and become extinct. These extinct volcanoes form a chain that is record of the plate motion. So because of the motion of the plates, the volcanoes which were once active have become completely extinct now. Next and last topic is movement of the Indian plate. India was basically a large island situated off the Australian coast in the vast ocean. The Tethys Sea, it separated India here. India was here actually. And the Tethys Sea, it separated India from the ocean continent as back as 225 million years ago. India is supposed to have started her northward journey. India moved northward. It started its northward movement about 200 million years ago at the time when Pangaea broke. When Pangaea broke, so India started moving northward and it collided with Asia about 40 to 50 million years ago. वो एशिया से collide करा and this was the cause of the formation of the fold mountains which we now called Himalayas. It caused the rapid uplift of the Himalayas. The position of India since about 71 million years till the present, you can see in this figure. It is clearly showing the position of India. It also shows the position of Indian subcontinent and the Eurasian plate about 140 million years ago. Before the present, the subcontinent was located as south as 50-degree latitude. Where was the latitude? Here is the equator, 50 degrees south latitude, it was here. So the two major plates were separated by the Tethys Sea and the Tibetan block was closer to the Asiatic landmass. During the movement of the Indian plate towards the Eurasian plate, movement this way, A major event that occurred was the outpouring of lava and formation of the Deccan traps. इस पीरियड में यहाँ बहुत वोल्केनिक इरप्शंस हुए and the Deccan traps were formed. This started somewhere around 60 million years ago and it continued for a period of time, long period of time. So we see that the subcontinent was still close to the equator. From 40 million years ago and thereafter, the event of formation of the Himalayas took place, and scientists believe that the process is still continuing and the height of the Himalayas is rising even to this date. The Indian plate, it includes peninsular India and the Australian continental portions. The subduction zone along the Himalayas formed the northern plate boundary in the form of continent convergence. In the east, it extends through Rakhine Mountains of Myanmar towards the island arc along the Java Trench. The western margin follows Kirthar Mountain of Pakistan. The boundary between India and the Antarctic plate is also marked by oceanic ridges running in roughly west to east direction and merging into the spreading site a little south of New Zealand. So this is all about this chapter. Thank you, children.